We lost class. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another awesome episode of College Culture Network Social Spotlight Live. My name is Mika, and with me today we have a very, very special guest, Miss Amber Buck. Miss
Hello.
Amber Buck is a coordinator of community relations, and she is a partnership of inclusion with Piper School District. And she has joined us today to take on the 10-10 challenge. So we're gonna talk to Amber today all about her very, very first job and also be able to get some insight about her career path, because students, we want you guys to understand that it doesn't always start as glitz and glam. We're gonna go with the whole Drake term, started from the bottom, now we here. So that's why we want to, but we're here. So that's why we want to talk about Amber's very first job. So I'm going to turn it over to Clyde. He has the 10-10 challenge questions, and we're just going to dive right in.
Okay.
Yes, let's go. Let's go. So these are 10 questions in 10 seconds. All right. So let's have some fun with this. It's Friday. We're snowing in Kansas City. We're not like Mika in Houston, Texas, where it's 60 degrees today?
It is 60
I am
today.
so jealous. We've got a blizzard here in Kansas City, right? So so jealous right now. All right. So let's go. All right. So here we go. The first question is, what was your title or position at your first job? Here in Kansas City, right?
At my very first job, I was a sandwich artist at Subway. But my first job out of college, I was an education reporter for the Shreveport Times.
Oh wow! Okay, that's pretty good job. Okay, education reporter.
Artist.
Hallelujah! Yeah.
Yes.
She was in my neck of the woods, Shreveport.
Yeah, that's down south. Definitely down south. So next question for you: what was your hourly rate of pay on your first job?
Ooh, that is a great question. So as a sandwich artist in 1998, it was probably about $5.25. And it was like time and a half when I did extra hours or overtime. I got a free 6-inch whenever I worked a 10-hour shift. I got some cookies too. But at Shreveport Times, I bet it was under 30. It was maybe 32,000. And so I don't know I had a salary. Don't know what the hourly was.
On the first job, you had a salary? She started out.
That's pretty nice.
Not a Subway. That was at $5.25. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. All right. The worst one we had has been, I think, about 50 cents per hour. So I think he was doing something with potatoes, something like that. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So next one. What did you do with your first check?
My very first check from Subway, I'm sure I put it in my gas tank because I was like, yes, I was 16 and I could drive. Subway was down the street from my mom and daddy's house, but I wanted to be able to drive back and forth to school too. So, I think gas was probably like 87 cents a gallon, maybe 93 cents a gallon in the summertime. But with my very first check in Shreveport, that was rent. That was definitely rent.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so were you a saver or were you a spender?
Oh, okay. So I'm cheap. So I would say both. But then sometimes, when I got older, like in my 20s, I decided to splurge every now and then. You was like, hey, girls trip, and then it's like come back with about $1.28 left in the account, and then you just praying and holding on to that little bit of change until payday. But it also, so I saved and I splurged. However, I found out that when I got paid weekly, I spent more. But when I got paid bi-weekly, I saved more because you have to make it last. So both.
That is true. Okay. All right. Biggest life lesson that came from your first job?
Oh, so at Subway, it was, put in your hours and like love what you do. I still to this day love Subway. I know a lot of people don't love where they first worked food jobs at, but I love some Subway. And so if I didn't like it, I would have like quit, but I didn't. I worked in 2 different locations. I had sandwich artists on my shirt embroidered. They gave it to me. I didn't make it. I really felt confident and passionate about my sandwich artistry. People would ask me to make their sandwiches when they came in, like, "Where's that little brown girl at?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's me." So I pride in what we do. But even at the Shreveport Times too, like my biggest lesson was just like, you don't know everything. expect curveballs and make sure that you're speaking up for yourself, because I had a boss that was a little discriminatory at the time. So yeah.
Very interesting. So let me ask you this one. This is a 2021 question. This is a new one. All right.
Ooh, okay.
The question for you is, how many interviews did you have to do before you got hired?
Okay, so Subway, I don't know. They just took me because nobody wants to work at Subway. But when it comes to, and I love Subway, #eat fresh. I'm not a paid advertiser. But it came to my first job out of college. I hit the ground running. I hustled hard. Like I had I had 3 interviews, and praise God, not trying to boast, I'm bragging on him. I got 3 job offers, but that required me to fly out of DC, sometimes on red eyes, sometimes pay my own ticket to go interview in person. And then like I had to hustle. I slept in airports because it was like, this is the only time we have to talk to you. Are you available? I'm like, I'm available. I'll make myself available. So I had 3 job opportunities that I applied for, got 3 offers from all 3, 1 offer from all 3. And then I got to choose where I wanted to go.
That's impressive. That's very impressive.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm like, that is pretty doggone impressive.
But see, you know why?
And then you said they were red eye. Right?
Mm-hmm. So red eye flights, that means you're getting on a flight at maybe 4 o'clock in the morning, maybe 2, maybe 1. And I was up in DC after 9/11, after the terrorist attacks on the Pentagon in New York City. So that meant you needed to be in the airport at least 3 hours beforehand if you wanted to fly out. And so that was crazy. But the only reason I knew to hustle that hard was because I listened to my journalism professors. They told us what to do, how to hustle, how to make yourself marketable. And I just took them at their word and followed instructions.
We're going to come back to what you just said.
We got to do it.
Yeah, we're going to put a comment on that one.
Yeah, okay. A little pin right there.
That pin right in that one. Okay, so what favorite song, what song best reminds you of your first job?
Oh, my first job. I don't think it's appropriate. Let's see. Oh my goodness, I saw it reminds me of my first job. Oh my goodness. How about an artist for my sandwich artist job? Tupac. We were just bumping Tupac a lot. I think he had recently been murdered, and we were just like in mourning for years after that. Me and my friends down in Shreveport. Oh my goodness. It would have to be just any kind of Mardi Gras songs, because even though we were at the top of the boot, I'm saying Louisiana's top of the boot, it's a boot shaped. Shreveport's all the way up in the northwest corner, but New Orleans, where it's real fun, it's all the way down at the bottom of the boot. And so, yeah, New Orleans and Mardi Gras and the whole vibe of just laissez-aller bon temps roulé, like let the good times roll. That was definitely something I embraced fully while I was in Louisiana.
Louisiana in the house.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so did you ever have a first crush on your first job?
Oh no, not at all. It was garbage. Like I was good and single, but it was garbage with regards to like my personal aesthetic. But however, there were at least 2 people who started dating, like 2 sets of people who started dating and got married by not during the time I was there, but like 5-ish years later, I would be getting invitations to weddings, and I was like, "Ooh, I know where that started." So, but not me.
I love her personality. All right,
yes.
Most embarrassing moment that ever happened to you on your first job or any job that you want to share?
Let's see. Well, let's see. Okay. I'm gonna switch my okay. While I was working at Subway, I thought I was gonna, really be hustle woman and also work at Sonic. And so I worked at Sonic for one day because I cut my hand smooth open. I mean, all the way open on a lime slicer when I was making a cherry limeade. And I said, you know what? That's it. I'm leaving because I was just bleeding. So that was supremely embarrassing, and also it hurt. But at my very first job, part of the interview process was that they would put you on a story because it was a weekend long interview process. They wanted to make sure you were qualified and that you were personable and that you could hustle like a newspaper reporter needed to. So in Louisiana, there are two cities. One is called Natchitoches and one is called Nacogdoches or something.
Yes.
I thought they were the same thing. And I was like, I'll just look that up later. And my editor asked me, so where are they from? Natchitoches or Nacogdoches?
Nacogdoches. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm not exactly sure. So I had to go back to the notes that I took. And I was like, okay, how far did he say he traveled? Because that was one of my questions. And so I figured out geographically that he was from that Natchitoches or not Nacogdoches. But also I was like, I hope I'm right. And so I almost had a correction in my first article for the newspaper that I was applying to. So whoopsie doodle. I totally wrote around that, or we totally wrote around it. Like he traveled from afar to come to Shreveport.
Oh, that is crazy. Oh, that is crazy. So that was my last one, but I do have one other one. I want to start asking more people this one too. What advice would you give to the younger you or to a younger person that is looking to start in their career with their first job and they want to make money, but they're just jumping into the workforce? What advice would you give to them?
Oh my goodness. I would say lower your expectations for other people, but raise your expectations for yourself. So what I guess I mean by that is like you might have to start in the mud, but one day you'll get that knocked off and you will be able to be all pristine and put together. But nobody flies into flying. Like what was that? Prince Hakeem said on Coming to America. No one flies into flying. And so but then also, just because you're working a job that you're not completely in love with doesn't mean that you stop looking for a job that you could fall in love with. Yes. My dad always said, I got this job when I had a job. And so it's just like jobs can come and go, but follow your passion. And your job's not always your passion, but strive for it to be. And also, while you're doing a job you don't love, you can still be honing your skills to get ready for what you really want to do. Like I think RuPaul said, when you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready, boo. And so stay ready.
Yes. That is priceless. So me and Mika definitely have some questions for you, but can you kind of walk the students through? That was all on the 10-10 challenge. So awesome job. You did an amazing job on it. Made it through. So yeah, you killed it. So this is more so for the students now to kind of see who you are and what you do in your profession, because some of the students may aspire to do what you're doing and they need to know how you went from the Subway job to your journey towards becoming who you are today. So can you share with everybody like what you do, what your title is, and kind of what your day-to-day life looks like?
Okay, so I am Amber Buck, and I am currently the coordinator of community relations, partnerships, and inclusion for the Piper School District in Kansas City, Kansas. And so we're a public school district, kind of small, just one high school, one middle school, and 2 elementaries. And so pretty much my job description is to just make community connections for our teachers and for our students in order to get our students into internships and just kind of get them ready for the career that they choose by actually having real world learning. So learning in the real world, opportunities outside the classroom, bringing outside opportunities into the classroom. That's kind of my role, is to connect people. And so praise God, it's really in my wheelhouse, I would hope and think, because I love to connect folks. I am a social butterfly of the utmost proportions. And so when it comes to meeting people, asking them what they're about, being like, oh, I know somebody who, and then connecting those folks for the benefit of education and people following their passion, that's what I do. And I'm also a teacher still. I teach social emotional learning at Piper High School, as well as African American literature. So that's fun times. What was the other part of your question? That's what I do now.
So let's talk, and I'm sure I'll digress as I see Mika's wool turning over there. I see your eyes kind of there already. So actually, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna pivot. Go ahead. I think I already see something brewing over there. Go ahead.
So I definitely want to make sure that the students pick up on your enthusiasm and passion for what you do. So I have to ask, where does your enthusiasm and passion for what you do and for life come from? Because it just exudes out of you. It's not just something that you've been trained. It's not an elevator pitch. It is the embodiment of Amber. So where did this spark come from that made you passionate about who you are and all that you do?
Oh my goodness. So I would have to say the spark came from my mentors. Like I'm going to start crying here in a minute. I absolutely would not be who I am today. Period. Boo, like period, poo, whatever the kids say these days. Period, whatsoever. If it wasn't for people feeding into my life and be accepting their guidance and finding mentors, but also mentors finding me, because like I'm just gonna name drop like Bill Norton, Dr. Kagwa, Louis Dugood, Yvette Walker. These folks hooked me up like cable. When I showed an interest in writing, they said, "Have you thought about this? Have you tried this?" And the more I was like, okay, I'll try this. Like they see something in me. The more my flame just grew, and it was like throwing logs on a fire. And like I started with a little spark, but they added fuel. They added skill sets to my life. They added opportunities, and then it was also up to me to stoke the flame, keep it going. I was a Girl Scout too, so it's like you have to keep the fire a little bit to keep the flames going. And so that's where it's just never burned out. Praise God, like it's still here. And all of this, my love of writing and just communication, it all started probably around 8th grade. Miss Ramirez, she was the newspaper sponsor at my high school. My high school was 8th through 12th grade. And she hooked me up with my first internship at the Wyandotte West, this tiny little nickel paper. Like you paid a nickel and you got just a thing from them. And it was a mess. Their office was a mess. Everything was a mess, but they were connected to the community. And they gave me the opportunity to do my own column. And I was like, okay, you just have the power of yes, like when it comes to what you're interested in. But all these people fed into my life, and I followed good people, good examples, and they just kept feeding into my fire.
That's amazing.
I love that. Is amazing. There's a couple of things I want to just pull out of what you just said. The first one is young people today have to be approachable. Because for someone to pour into you, a lot of times you'll see, and we all go through our own challenges, but sometimes you'll see the demeanor of a person's face and it doesn't look inviting. And so you're like, I don't want to deal with that person, right? But I think you have a radiance about yourself that makes people feel comfortable being around you. And I think other people, like the young people that are listening to us, or even maybe their parents, that, you have to make sure that you have to put your game face on. I think all of us have left the house, and we've had some days where we just don't want to leave, right? You're dealing with your own personal challenges or whatever that is. And it's like, oh my goodness, but you got to be able to leave that at home And Mika, you talked about this, I think, in another podcast we had when one of your bosses was telling you about when you get into the parking lot. What was the advice she gave you?
She said, once you step on the parking lot, the job becomes your stage. So it's like step out of your car as if you are approaching the stage, because it's lights, camera, action. Yes.
Yes. And so you have to learn that. And then I think because of that, because of the radiance, or you've mastered that, because again, we all have our own personal issues going on, people feel comfortable. But then on top of that, we have to listen. Like, we don't know it all, right?
Exactly.
I know you can Google a lot of information, but you still don't know it all, right? So we have to be open to receive information. And I don't care if you're in a leadership position or if you're at the bottom of the totem pole, everybody can help everybody, right? Nobody is above getting information from anybody else. So I think that's important. So you said the last thing I want to ask you a question about you said you start developing skill, right? So how did you identify that this was the area that you wanted to be in? And then how did you start pursuing skill?
All right. So my mom and dad, I think, both sides of their family, just storytellers. You know, nobody shuts up. Our family reunions and like get-togethers are loud. And so they kind of recognized that early on. And then I just liked school, and English just happened to be the class that like really spoke to me, and I felt really good about my performance in. But then also my high school started telling us, because it was 8 through 12, they started Pathways. Oh my gosh, this is 21 years ago. Oh my, no, whoa, almost 25. Math, okay. 25 years ago. And I remember as an 8th grader, they were like, start thinking about what you really want to do. Because your classes are going to fall in these different pillars of focus. And I mean, I was in band. I liked chemistry at the time. But I was not good at it. It was interesting. I was not good at chemistry. But I was in band. I was in choir. I was on the forensics team in debate. And I was fiddling around with the newspaper with Miss Ramirez. And then they were like, okay, are you going to be in the speech and debate communications like pathway, or are you going to do music and fine arts, or you're going to do STEM and math? And I was like, communication, please. And so starting at all of my classes kind of started, once again, feeding into that fire. And that's where the skills were created. And that's why in my current position, I have to give a shout out to what the Kauffman Foundation is doing here in Kansas City, and what Piper is attempting to do with academies. Knowing what you're good at and then getting those skills behind them in high school definitely set me up and projected me in a certain direction. But then also not knowing what you don't want to do is important too. And
yes,
pathway in high school, and it maybe doesn't work out the way you wanted it to, doesn't mean that like, oh, I guess I have to do this now. Like, no, knowing what you don't want to do is important too. But that's a side note. My mom wanted me to be she wanted me to be a mortician. She was like, you're good with people. And I don't want you to be broke in journalism. So what about mortuary science? And I was like, that's not my wheelhouse. I know this right now as an 8th grader, and mom's not going to do that. So, but long story short, my educational upbringing kind of started giving me the skill. But then also, I can't go without saying I'm a proud graduate of Howard University in Washington, D.C. And my professors there, woo, like mama, daddy, auntie, mama, like all powers combined under a doctorate degree. Those were my professors. They would get on you, get up in all of your business and encourage you, inspire you, stoke your flames, but then also tell you, if you want to get better, I'm going to give you the prescription. Now follow it. And it's like, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Dr. Kagwa dropped me off in the middle of downtown DC, and he came with me after he parked his car, me and one of my girlfriends who were both in his class. But he was like, if you want, and he's a little Guyane man. So if you want to be good writer, you have to go and write. Go talk to people. You come back when you have your story. We go back and we write it and we publish. And it's just like, I was like, I don't know any of these people, Dr. Cobb. He's just like, you learn by doing. Go. And I was like, tag damn it. So Kansas, fresh out of KCK in the middle of downtown DC, walking up to total strangers in order to make a story. Practice. It was practice. And like I followed the prescription. I am not a genius. I simply follow directions in my educational institutions.
That is crazy. So in conclusion, I know Mika may have another couple, but for me, my last question is, what is your, I know you're in inclusion and you do a lot of work in the Piper School District. So what does your day look like? Like, what do? You go in there. Yeah. What does that look like for your day-to-day activity?
All right. So I get carried away and stop answering the questions that were asked. My apologies. So my day-to-day honestly just depends. It depends. So let's see, our schedule is changing for the third time like in 2 weeks. So, right, I'll speak on what's happening with this schedule. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays, I teach my social emotional learning class and my African American lit class. But then all the time that surrounds that, I'm surfing the tsunami of emails that come from parents, students, teachers, community members and organizations about how they can connect, what they need, what's available, and if they don't know what to look for, helping them figure that out. And so I'm on the phone, I'm on email. I am attending meetings. With COVID, it looks a little different. So I'm in the lab, as the kids like to say. I think I love the kids, right? So I'm in the lab most of the time, and so teaching virtually, connecting virtually, which is a little harder, but not impossible. And it's really nice to just be able to get, like stunt on them from the waist up, and have on sweatpants and house shoes the rest of the way down. So it makes it easier in a way. But my day, it just depends. But I'm talking to people all day long.
That is incredible.
Yes.
So
yes.
I guess in conclusion, I just want to say thank you.
Oh,
Thank you for joining us this morning, for sharing your journey, for spreading your positive light to all of our students and their parents. If there was anything that I would want to pull together to take away from what you said, is that you don't have to recreate the wheel, but you have to find the power inside of you to push the wheel to get it to turn.
There we go.
And that right there for students, if you are looking for a way to connect, to find yourself, to find your purpose, there's opportunities out there. There are mentors that are looking for you, that want to pass the torch, that want to give you the wheel so that you can start pushing it. Amber is a life testament to that. And she is now the wheel that is passing on to push someone else forward, because your passion and drive just exudes out of you. So having you as a spotlight guest, you have truly shined that light in your spot. So thank you so much for joining us this morning for the Spotlight Live and taking the 10-10 challenge. We got hashtag sandwich artists out there, because it's art to the sandwich, okay?
It was. We did some study videos. It was deep.
Don't let us see a post with your, with your embroidered shirt. Thursdays.
Oh, I love it.
But again, guys, we just want to thank you for tuning in to College Coaching Network Social Spotlight Live. It is always amazing that we have guests on that get to tell us about where they're started from the bottom experiences and now they're here. And so we hope that something is said that will encourage you. And shout out to Piper School District. You guys truly have a jewel in Miss Amber. So again, thank you for tuning in.
And she's gonna cut the soundbite on that part right there.
Right. Thank you for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe. College Coaching Network. We are always here for the students. Again, our mission is help, guidance, and community. We want to see everyone succeed, and there is so much out there that our students can tap into. So thank you guys for tuning in, and enjoy your day.
One last thing too. Yes, we want to give a shout out to the Piper School District because we thank you for allowing us to do a pilot program with College Coaching Network, and we're very excited to work with your students. So thank you for the opportunity to serve your students.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great weekend, guys.